Hello. Hope you had a good lunch and a good session this morning, right? So we continue this a little bit on the technology track now for you. There's one warning that I have for you. We won't make it too technical. And that's all because in our space, when you're using technology, it's not all about technology. It's all about the experience that comes out of it, what you do with the technology. So we'll take you through this, give you some teasers of what it takes to do AI and automation. And there's really three things that we think you need: your team, you need your strategy, and you need a set of tools, whether that's technical or as in a toolbox, as in ways and mechanisms of doing things. So let's kick that off, Kevin.
Perfect, thanks, Klaus. So the first thing I wanted to cover off is that when we talk about an AI solution, we talk about virtual agents. Now, people call them chatbots or just bots or AIs. Everybody has slightly different terminology. But for us, we deliberately call it a virtual agent. And we don't just mean one that you deploy onto your website. Our virtual agents are because how we deploy AI, how we think about it, our mindset, how you should approach an AI deployment, is in that it's a virtual agent. It's the same as your human agents in the contact center. They need the same love, the same care, the same ecosystem that goes around it. So we think about the quality, compliance, the training, all these other functions that happen around your agents. We have to do the same when it comes to our virtual agents as well. And actually with virtual agents, the same as we try and do with our human agents, we spend so much time building up what is customer experience. What is the best ideal for our brand that we want to portray to our customers? And actually, with an AI solution or with your virtual agent, you have the ability to define exactly what your best of brand looks like and make it super consistent. Ultimately, your virtual agent becomes your face of customer experience.
So we want to do more with less. But we've got the help now. We've got the AI technology that can help us with it now. So we all think, actually, we've got our bots that can take care of all the technology for us, all the big problems for us. We can save some money now. But actually, what they do is they create an opportunity as well for us. They create the opportunity to do more, to do better service, to have more time that we can spend on critical things, and more maybe serve our customers overnight. So we can have more value that comes out of this, that we work with. But we need to know how to do this. Because I think you heard this morning in our presentations this morning that it's not quite as simple as you have a big plan, you get through the big plan, and you have it deployed. We need to think about that in a slightly more strategic way. So we have some thought process that we need to go through.
We do. Sorry, I just get really bright. Okay, so when it comes to the customer experience and containment success, so for me, these are the two key metrics that we try to track as part of our virtual agent strategy. So with customer experience, what we're trying to drive there is actually how great can we make it? Can we use AI to be the tone of voice or be the brand that we want it to be? And the more we dial up customer experience, what we actually see is that the containment success, so the amount of conversations that we manage to contain within our AI solutions, will decline. But that's okay. What we're trying to find is the right balance for your organization. It's right to deliver brilliant customer experience, but you have to do it in a way that also allows you to gain value and get success out of what you're deploying. If we take an example of a customer who calls you and you have to capture their postcode over the telephone. Now, we know that the challenge between the letters M and N, if they even sounded different, they are a real problem that many organizations face when you do it in a voice world. So you might choose to say, well, actually, let's ask the customer twice. We're going to try a second attempt if we get it wrong. But it's on voice. It's quite a challenging thing to do. You might have customers who are out and about. So you might think that asking the customer twice is the maximum you're willing to do as part of your decision, that that's what your experience was going to look like. And you're happy to offset the fact that you could have contained a few more people had you asked a third time. And we know that when we build our AI and our automation journeys, that if we can contain the customer in a journey Quite often, that's a shorter duration than it would have been had we put them through to the agent. You remove the friendly talk that takes place, the going back over the questions, etc. You can really simplify it and expedite them to a resolution. So actually, sometimes it's worth it. But that's just the challenges that you face when it comes to a voice side of it. There's then obviously text side of it.
So on the text side of it, you may want to have your conversation structured in a different way. So if you're asking for feedback again on the text side, that's a bit more awkward. Because the user can see what they typed in. So they go, well, you see it. So when you speak something, you may have just audio-wise not recognize it. So your strategy to deal with that, with your containment, with your experience, may be different in a different channel. So where do we start with all of this then? So there's quite a few bits that the technology can give us these days. So so maybe some of you have been on the Dialogflow, Google Dialogflow or Amazon websites and created their own bots or created their own accounts and started with it. It's actually quite straightforward right now to get started. And in the technology industry, we often call it like a hello world type application. Get the first step on the ladder and go, have it respond to you, be clever, make that phone call. That's reasonably quick to get started. AI is super powerful. You heard that this morning from Stu when he explained to us about Alexa. It's really powerful. So that the AI hasn't necessarily solved the problem as such. It made our world bigger. Because now we can do more things. We can automate more things. We can have more conversations in it. So in order to get this going and to get this the right type of things that we do, we need a starting point. We need to find a strategy. How do we start?
Exactly. Can you tell we lined this up? Okay, so there is lots of data that you already have available to your organisation today. And so IVR selections. Everybody's got a bit of call routing in place in your IVR today. You know the options that you've already been making available to customers, and you know how many of them choose those different options. Disposition codes. The IVR options gave us some insight. We then moved to our disposition codes where we said, well, actually, we want to know a little bit more about these call reasons, so let's ask the agents to give a little bit of input. So now you've got that extra piece of insight. The last one was then demand analysis. So again, we knew that finding out why people call and what information's behind it was really valuable to us. So then we thought, actually, we're willing to dedicate human resource time to asking the agents to fill in and do some demand analysis off the back of their call. And what you get as a result of that is some call reasons, right? So we know that people want to call us to report an issue, or they've got a warranty question, or about an appointment. So we get some level of information about why people are calling. But actually, this doesn't really give us any meaningful insight. So we think we know why people call our organisation, but actually we don't. We just have the things that we have driven customers to make selections from. So instead, the best thing that we can do is introduce an AI into the conversation and allow our AI to simply ask our customers why they're calling. This is the bit of insight and data that we just didn't think we could cover off. We can use AI to ask customers the reasons for their call. We can get to really granular levels of information to get to something that's meaningful. There's lots of examples of what we can try and achieve.
So we can get really deep down into the guts of it, what the call is talking about, what our contact wants from us. This is now predominantly talking about the speed side of things. But if you think about what's happening in the contact center when you get a contact and when you talk to them, what you end up with is that they're talking about maybe reporting an issue. You end up there in the conversation. And that's the key thing. The customer selects something maybe up front in an IVR, where we tell them, this is what we can do for you. This is our product portfolio. This is our problem portfolio. Select from it. So we are asking the user to understand us as a business and then select where they want to go. Now, if we turn this around and do something like this, go, okay, what do you want? And then, because AI helps us with that technology, we can have a conversation with them now. We can ask a question, okay, you're telling us it's a problem, but what is it? It's the washing machine. And even more, we can have this interaction before it gets to an agent and find out what the actual problem is. It's a leak versus maybe lights flickering. And that can help us when we think about the journeys that feed off that. What are the journeys that feed off that? My light journey may start on my side with something like, that's the electrical department that you need to look at. For me as the end customer, I don't know that. I wouldn't select electrical department up front, would I? Because I don't know how you operate. So we get a lot of information, meaningful information. For every call, we get meaningful conversation. We know what we can do. We can then feed off that with our strategies of how to deal with that. That's a customer query. We can then look at that, and we've been doing that for years in the industry around complexity and benefit. Put them on to a grid and decide each one of these journeys can be on the grid. Now, complexity there may be, how hard is it for me as an individual to understand what's going on? What's the experience, the user experience? Is it hard? Complexity can be, is it hard to build? Is it complex for me to build? Is it a complex process that I need to reshape? Similarly, on benefit, what's the benefit? Is it purely cost? Is it time? Is it expanding your portfolio? Is it expanding your channels? All of these we need to define in a level of strategy, but we have the information from, say, the horse's mouth, from the user. They tell us what they want. We had the conversation. We can build our journeys. And as you heard this morning, we can start building our journeys here. We can start small. We know what we want to do, as Kevin was saying, the strategy. We can build the first journey. Create that. And the key is that we create that and we still couple that with optimization. We won't get it 100% right on day one. And the context of it may change, so we keep optimizing it. And we just do that, start thinking around it as features. Roll it out. Much like Teams does almost every second day, a new feature comes out. And we can build these, and then as we build them, they start building our value. When we roll out a new feature, we get new value, so we get a jump. We keep optimizing it, we keep going up. Now, we won't necessarily get it right all the time, so there will be dips. But we continuously look at it. We continuously improve it, and we trend upwards. We create, we build the value. Hopefully we trend upwards, but we may have things that work against us. But we do have a very good way of creating, expanding the value. So we start moving the user experience that you have when you're interacting with this, with the automation, to become a customer experience. How well do we serve you as an organization? How much value do you get, you as the end user, get out of that conversation that you're having? We can link it back again to our conversation around branding, who we are, what we do, how we operate in this area. We do need quite a few people for that, or quite a few roles for that.
We do, and these are the traditional roles that we will all consider and will all think that need to be part of this picture. So if this is data, so somebody who works in your MI or your reporting function, we know how much we love to track the agent's performance and their KPIs, and I mean, we scrutinise every last minute of time that they have. The same exists when it comes to your virtual agent as well. You have to monitor exactly how many conversations it's performing with, how well it's managing to resolve queries. It's all exactly the same as you do with humans. We have the same as the customer element here. So the customer experience, we've already talked about how this is a chance for you to build your brand's voice and get it consistent and accurate every time. And then we have the designer, the person who then draws out these journeys, builds up the conversational design, decides whether it's an open-ended question that allows them just to give a response, or we try and make it closed and give prescripted responses. These are the roles that we already think about and know are going to exist. But I think, as we've all heard throughout the day, that actually this is all about changing how you utilise technology in your organisation. And to have AI as part of it really requires you to place AI in the centre of everything that's going on. Now, when we think about technology, benefit and experience, technology here isn't about putting the AI in the centre of the chatbot team or your virtual agents team. Technology is your website team. So if your digital team wants to deploy a virtual agent online, they need to form part of the picture. Similarly, if you want to deploy it onto voice, your telephony team need to form part of this bigger picture. The AI, and as you saw from some of the data that Klaus showed, like the level of information and insight that you can gain out of this technology is fundamentally amazing, right? You can tell the passion. Like, there's so much you can get out of this. And in the AI world, it's about as much as you take out of it and your broader business can take out of its insights and information. It's about them giving their input as well. So when marketing do make a change or do a new promotion, how does that feed into the team who are responsible for the AI so it knows what to do when those queries come in? If you think about our human agents in the contact centre, when you do something new or something different, they get a memo or a briefing or an offline training. You do all these things for the human agents. We have to place the AI in the centre of that picture as well. So where is the contact centre world today when it comes to AI? Well, really we're augmenting agent experiences with AI. We're also substituting some of the demand that our human agents deal with by giving them an AI to deal with the traditionally more simple or transactional type inquiries. But where are we going to get to? And this is just still fairly early in the journey of what's going on, but we are going to build a world of virtual contact centres that have virtual agents that sit inside them. And we will have teams who look after our virtual agents. They're the guys who are still doing the reporting and the performance management. All that ecosystem around them will still exist. And what we'll then also have, though, is our specialists who are the human agents. So when it can't deal with the inquiry, it will escalate it off into the specialist agent to then help. That is the world that we're going to move to when it comes to AI in the contact centre. Okay. So as part of this, we talked about this. So as part of this, what we're introducing today is Sabio Console. So Sabio Console, and you've heard a little bit from Jonathan earlier on and some from Stu as well. Sabio Console is, we have a number of AI deployments in the market. We understand the pain points that organisations go through when it comes to the underlying technology, or how do you do MI and reporting for your AI? How does that work? How do you get the data feeds to make all these things happen? We understand what it takes to make AI successful in a contact centre. And as a result, with Console, we've essentially packaged this into one-stop shop for AI and automation. Now, there are three key elements that make up Console as a product. The first is in knowledge management. So just like your human agents, the AI has to be given knowledge. Now that's either through its training, its onboarding that it initially gets, through the optimization that Klaus spoke about, and then actually how it learns new things to do or how to do things slightly differently. Within knowledge management is things like translation. So are you interacting with your customers in the language that they want to interact with you in? Or actually are you expecting them to have to speak in English because that's how you've chosen to design your business? The knowledge management of Console allows you to translate all of this, all of your responses into over 100 languages if you want to. You can actually service customers that previously you probably weren't able to, or you've not been delivering on the experience that they would have wanted. And then there's analytics.
I, as a user experience person, I want to see the analytics. I want to dive deeper into it. I want to know, what have I automated? How successful was I? And I want to go even deeper, and I want to see, how did these individual conversations go? What did the user say to me? Did I respond to it correctly, on brand, on script, the right way? So analytics will help us with that. We have an analytics part that help us diving deeper, having our dashboards, having a good understanding.
And then the last is...
Oops.
Don't ruin the moment. The last is AI and automation. So, we've honestly practiced so much. The last is AI and automation. So for AI and automation, what we're looking at here is that actually for your organisation, after you've defined your strategy and what's the right mix of CX and containment for your business, is then looking at actually how do we integrate the right engine for you, so the right NLU, who should be the AI solution that sits behind you, and depending on what you want to achieve, the majority of the technology does a lot alike as each other, but there are some nuances in what it does. So it's what's the right engine. And lastly is, are you interacting with your customers on the channels that they want to interact with? Are you offering it on voice and SMS already today? But are you on Facebook and WhatsApp and all these other channels where traditionally, if you wanted to go and expand into that, there's weeks or months of development time to go and build an integration to the AI platform, let alone putting it into your contact center. With Console, we give you a no-code interface that allows you to plumb in the contact channels that you want with the AI engine that's best fit for your business. Now, if you haven't already, Console is available at 2 of the booths today, so you can come over. Guys will give you a demo. We can answer all the questions that I no doubt you have. And then in the meantime, we can, now the moment's here. And in the meantime, introduce Console.
With so many AI and virtual agent technologies at our fingertips, it can be tricky finding the right one for your organisation. Assessing their capability and compatibility is time-consuming and costly, creating a barrier to excelling your CX. Furthermore, the ongoing management and data analysis to ensure it's delivering the right experience for your customers is really complex. So we've simplified it for you. Meet Sabio Console, a complete conversational AI platform built for the contact center and all your AI and automation needs. Sabio Console combines all the latest innovative technology from the leading vendors, allowing you to set up and manage your VA solutions in our single interface. With Console, you're able to plug in any front-end contact channel with any back-end AI solution, providing users with a smooth, no-code interface to manage all configuration and content from both sides, putting you in control. Console operates on a 3-pronged approach. Knowledge management. Rich text editor to write well-constructed responses. Add links, videos, images, and more without the need for code. Organize and store content in a user-friendly way. Tailor content for your chosen channel. Manage content in one language, presenting in over 100 languages. Analytics. Custom-built UI and MI tool to understand and fine-tune your VA and see how it's reacting with your customers in real time. Analytics Wheel converts important data into insightful, valuable visualizations, providing detailed and in-depth analytics. Turn-by-turn performance reporting, essential for tracking business KPIs. Analyze behaviors and address any hiccups and niggles right as they happen, fine-tuning and enhancing customer experiences as you go along. AI and automation. Connect with customers via the channel of their choice, while simplifying the setup process. Use any supported AI engine to optimize customer experience. Configure how the VA will appear through an easy-to-use UI. In summary, Console brings together knowledge management with a fully integrated conversational interface, enterprise analytics, and seamless integration into your contact center platform of choice, so you can spend more time building brilliant customer experiences that matter.